Hi, my name is Paul Butler. I'm a client partner with New Leaf Training and Development, and I'm really delighted today to be joined by George Sims, a gentleman that I've known for probably about 10 or 12 years now. I've had the pleasure of working with him. George is actually the chairperson of the business management department for both the graduate and the undergraduate program over at FIDM, and he's based in downtown Los Angeles. So, George, I've just got this one question for you, which I'd love you to run with for 4 or 5 minutes, because we do call them Take 5 for a reason. What would you say that you're learning kind of personally, and obviously as an organization, that you think would be helpful, hopeful, and even a little bit of humorous for this particular point in time? So over to you, George. And again, thanks ever so much for doing this for us today.
Well, that's a broad area for discussion, but Paul, as you know, I spend my days trying to figure out how to educate right brain, creative minded visual learners in the application and understanding of business analytics and dynamics, which means that I have to be more creative than they are, which is not an easy task, as they frequently remind me. But I have found that success in business is always a function of appropriate time management. And in this pandemic, that term appropriate has really taken on a new dimension. When I was in the office 8 hours a day, I focused specifically on issues relating to my professional involvement. Then I could go home and help my son learn how to calculate the cosine of a tangent of an angle for his trig class, or some other equally useless piece of information. And then this virus descended on us, and I started trying to work from home. And I found that I was spending 12, 14 hours, 7 days a week focused on business, because the people with whom I was communicating were doing the same thing. There was separation. There was no separation between personal and professional time and involvement. There didn't seem to be time left over to discuss religion and politics and tell my wife how to improve her meatloaf recipe. It was all focused on the professional involvement. I had really lost control of my time management. And I think I was putting in many, many more hours, but was being less effective, both personally and professionally. I think our working structure of community has changed along with the way we manage our interactions. We're developing new behaviors. For example, people never used to grocery shop online. And now it's a common activity. And surely I'm not alone in this dynamic professionally. So to get control, I've returned to my office, where I now have time to focus professionally and even have time to Zoom with you this morning. But as a student of management, I have to wonder how this new environment is impacting other professionals, and more importantly, our collective productivity. There must be an impact. Are we losing the professional synergism because of isolation? Or are we ultimately gaining the benefit from forced, independent, personal time organization and management? I'm not sure I know the answer to that, nor do I know if we have arrived at the conclusion. I hope we've all learned something about time management from this journey, and that it will produce a positive outcome. But the other thing that concerns me has to do with today's economy and the economy of the future. And let me give you a simple example of what I mean by that. Let's assume our economy is a 10-ounce glass. And pre-pandemic, it had 9 ounces of economic liquid in it. We were doing very well. And then the pandemic comes along, businesses shut down, and about 20% of that is lost. And so our economic liquid drops down to about 7 ounces in our 10-ounce glass. Now the government, in its effort to stimulate, comes along and adds 2 ounces back to bring the economy back to that 90% level in our 10-ounce glass. And now we get control of the virus, we all go back to work, and we collectively add the 2 ounces back. We now have 11 ounces in our 10-ounce glass. So there's going to be an economic spillage. How are we going to clean that up? More taxes, higher interest rates. It's going to have to be cleaned up one way or another. However, I do think that the loss of many of the small marginal businesses that have gone away because of the pandemic have perhaps created a new and broader field for a fresh class of entrepreneurs. And maybe we can use some of this spillage, if you will, to support those new entrepreneurs. So I think our whole understanding and practice of management is changing and is going to have to change to bring us back to a strong economic level. So,
George, thanks ever so much. Really, really do appreciate your time today. And just thanks for sharing your wisdom and your kind of observation that you're seeing, especially in this present situation. And just on a personal level, I'm looking forward very much to seeing you again, hopefully on the other side of this. And again, on behalf of all the people that watch these, because these have become very, very popular indeed. Thanks ever so much, George, for all that you do. Can I offer you a virtual high five?
I enjoyed seeing you in person, Paul. Look forward to interacting.
Thanks, George.